Richmond police officer Daniel Ellis passed away overnight. Today, businesses throughout the community are stepping forward for his family. I'm Sam Dick with live team coverage coming up from Richmond.
The tributes to Officer Ellis continue. How Madison County schools will honor him on their Football Friday night.
A former Lexington firefighter finds out how many years he will spend in jail after a jury found him guilty of hitting and injuring a National Guardsman.
This is WKYT News at 5:30.
Good evening. Family, friends, and strangers from across the region are in Madison County tonight, remembering a police officer killed in the line of duty.
Officer Daniel Ellis was shot Wednesday while he was investigating an attempted robbery in Richmond. He died early this morning at UK Hospital. Meanwhile, a memorial for Ellis outside the Richmond Police Department continues to grow. Our Sam Dick begins our top story team coverage live now in Richmond. And Sam, it is evident by that growing memorial that a lot of people knew Officer Ellis.
Amber, you're right. He had deep roots in this community. He was a member of the Richmond Police Department for over 7 years. He went to Eastern Kentucky University here. He was a member of a fraternity at EKU. His wife is an assistant principal at a school in Madison County, and they have a young son together. Certainly, all the prayers this week have been for his survival, but it wasn't meant to be. Early this morning at UK Hospital, Officer Ellis passed away. His body was escorted by dozens of police cars to Frankfort at the state medical examiner's office, and then his body was brought to the funeral home in Richmond. His loss is heartbreaking for law enforcement across the state. The Ellis family is asking tonight for prayers and support.
We ask that you continue to pray for them as they grieve this tremendous loss. We ask that the privacy of the family be respected during this very difficult and trying time.
Within the last hour, we have learned that funeral arrangements for Officer Ellis have been set. Visitation will be on Tuesday from 2 to 8 p.m. at EKU Alumni Coliseum, and his funeral will be Wednesday morning at 11 at the Coliseum. The outpouring of support for this family and this officer has been tremendous here in Madison County. Many of the people we've talked to here today didn't know Officer Ellis personally, but they felt like they had to come to this memorial in front of the police department to show respect to his family. Our Mike Linden has more on that.
We're just thinking about all of them, and this is all about the Ellis family.
Less than 24 hours after the death of Richmond police officer Daniel Ellis, food truck owner Brandy Bowles decided to donate all sales from Friday's lunch service to the Ellis family.
It was just something that I thought that we could do, and I talked it over with my mom and my husband, and we just did it.
Bowles and her family opened up for lunch at 10:30 this morning on the corner of Irvin and First Street in downtown Richmond. She says when she looked over the counter at her customers, the line was wrapped around the block.
Bowles says on a normal day, the food truck will do about $1,000 worth in sales, but she says today, for many reasons, is not a normal day.
We have had people donate $500, $200, $300, $100. I mean, I have no idea. We're probably at $5,000 if I had to guess.
For Captain Jansen Hurt of the Richmond Fire Department, Officer Ellis was not only a friend, but a brother. He says buying lunch to support Ellis's family is the least he could do.
It's a brotherhood, whether it's EMS, fire, police, and we take care of each other and take care of our own and watch out for each other.
In Richmond, Mike Linden, WKYT.
Well, students in Madison County are also showing their support. The Madison Central High School football team is here in Lexington tonight for their playoff game against Henry Clay.
Ellis's wife is the assistant principal at Madison Central. Garrett Weimer tells us how the team plans to honor Officer Ellis at tonight's game.
Madison Central plays Henry Clay tonight here in Lexington, but when the Indians take the field, their hearts, no doubt, will be in Richmond. Katie Ellis, wife of fallen officer Daniel Ellis, is an assistant principal at Madison Central. The school will do what it can to honor Officer Ellis at their football game tonight. The school's athletic director tells us they're having a private ceremony at the school before they get here to put special decals on their helmets that they'll wear during the game. We're also told the players will come out onto the field with a banner to honor Officer Ellis's memory. Yesterday, students wore blue at schools across Madison County to show their support for the family. It's clearly an emotional time for so many in Richmond and in the Madison County school system. Superintendent Elmer Thomas released a statement today saying the school district is devastated by the news of Officer Ellis's passing. He says, quote, "Daniel was truly a hero. His sacrifice and the sacrifice of his family will long be remembered. Madison County Schools will continue to love and support Katie and Luke diligently in the days, weeks, and months ahead." Tonight on the football field, perhaps a way for everyone to channel the emotion of the past few days while still remembering Officer Ellis and his family. In Lexington, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
Well, the rain is slowly starting to move out and some chilly air is moving into the bluegrass.
We're tracking a big drop in temperatures for the weekend. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey has an early look at the forecast. Chris?
Yeah, temperatures obviously this week, guys, well into the 70s. We've been spoiled by the nice weather. Had that cold front right on our doorstep a little earlier this afternoon with some showers and thunderstorms. Front is still out there, slowly working on into town. At least the rains are beginning to dry up somewhat. We look out across the region, still into the 60s, but as that front makes its way through, the numbers will really drop off. Defender radar network nowhere near as rainy as what we were showing you earlier this morning. Still a band of some gusty showers that will accompany that front into parts of eastern Kentucky, but those steadier rains that we had here showing up between 64 and the Mountain Parkway are beginning to go by the wayside. Chilly air does come into town for the weekend. That's the highlight of the weekend forecast, or the low light, but it's a good looking weekend for the most part as skies slowly continue to improve out there. Increasing amounts of sun as we get deeper into our Saturday and especially by Sunday. Sunday looks excellent as of now. Then we go into next week and at least two systems will impact that 7-day forecast. One of those storm systems a lot like the one that we're dealing with today, though it may have a push of even colder air coming in behind that. We'll explain when that arrives when I come back in less than 10 minutes.
A former Lexington firefighter is headed to prison. In September, a jury convicted Jared McCargo for a hit-and-run crash.
Police say McCargo backed into the beer trap in September of last year, hitting National Guardsman Noel Espino. Today, a judge sentenced McCargo to 10 years. Kristen Kennedy has the details from the courtroom.
Jared McCargo said very little in court Friday, instead letting his attorney speak on his behalf. The former Lexington firefighter will go to prison for charges including assault and DUI. Those charges stem from a September 2014 wreck where investigators say McCargo drove drunk, backed up into the patio of a bar, hit a patron, and then drove off. Surveillance video released during trial shows what happened at the beer trap. Guam National Guard soldier Noel Espino testified during trial. He lost his leg in the wreck.
It's tragic. The court and Commonwealth and all families were present for the trial, and I think everything was laid out pretty thoroughly during that trial.
When he was leaving the courtroom, McCargo waved goodbye to his wife and his family who were there in court to see him. We tried talking with his wife after sentencing and she did not have any comment.
McCargo, is there anything you'd like to add, sir?
No.
All right, and I did receive your letter as well.
Judge Bunning sentenced McCargo to the jury's recommendation, 10 years. His attorney wouldn't comment any further. He is filing an appeal. In Lexington, Kristen Kennedy, WKYT.
The judge ruled McCargo must also pay restitution of $500.
A Lexington murder suspect now knows when his case will be retried. Today, a judge heard a motion to exclude evidence in the trial of Donald Southworth. Southworth has been in jail. He received a life sentence for the 2010 murder of his wife, Umi, but last year, the state Supreme Court overturned the conviction, saying prosecutors used evidence that was not relevant to the case. Today's hearing was continued to November 20th, and Southworth's trial has been set for February of next year.
Governor-elect Matt Bevin says he never had doubts he would win Tuesday's election.
And he already has plans for when he takes office. Bill Bryant sits down with Bevin in the bottom line.
Good evening. Governor-elect Matt Bevin is my guest on this weekend's edition of Kentucky Newsmakers, and we talk about his victory, his transition team, and what he hopes to get done quickly when he assumes office. Bevin had a packed day of meetings in Frankfort today, but he took time to come out to WKYT and do a taping here. Bevin says he never had any doubts that he would win the election, even as polls showed him trailing.
I am surprised by the degree of unanimity the absolutely 106 of 120 counties is certainly unprecedented, and it's a powerful statement. I'm humbled by it, and I hear it loud and clear. The people have spoken, and I hear it. I really do.
As you said, you were seeing those late polls indicating that you were trailing and so forth, and you never believed them.
I didn't, because again, there's nobody who has spent more time on the ground in this state than I have. There's nobody who's driven more miles, talked to more people, and had their finger more on the pulse. And I knew for a fact that these were not reflective of what was happening in the actual electorate.
Bevin says he will address the county clerk issue immediately and remove the names of clerks from licenses because some have religious objections to issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples. You can see the entire interview with Governor-elect Bevin on Kentucky Newsmakers. It airs in its entirety Sunday morning at 6 on WKYT, and it repeats Sunday at 10 a.m. on the CW Lexington. Set your DVR, or you can see it then. Former Congresswoman Ann Northrop has endorsed Marco Rubio for president, and she will lead his efforts in Kentucky's first ever presidential caucus in March. Northrop chose Rubio over fellow Kentuckian Rand Paul because she said Rubio is electable and can gain the confidence of the people. Kentucky is holding a caucus March 5th so that Paul can stay in the run for the White House and also seek re-election to his Senate seat. We had some close elections this week in Kentucky, especially the race for Attorney General, but nothing like Bradenton Beach, Florida, where it came out a tie. They used a deck of cards to settle it. The incumbent drew a 10 of clubs. The challenger, who's a former mayor, drew an ace of clubs and will be going back to City Hall. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
Well, what if doctors and chefs could make people healthier by tricking their brains into thinking broccoli tastes like chocolate? Well, they're exploring that possibility at the University of Kentucky.
A new science called neurogastronomy explores brain and behavior when it comes to food. This weekend, internationally acclaimed chefs, neuroscientists, and food scientists are coming together for the first ever neurogastronomy symposium at UK. The idea is to help people who suffer from food impairment because of things like cancer. For chefs, they say being brought into the mix is huge.
As a chef, you're asked to help in research, but by making like little canapes or pouring cocktails or shucking oysters at fundraiser, right? So it's kind of amazing to be able to help in a practical way.
Today, a cook-off was held to kick off the weekend. It was a brainstorming event for chefs and scientists. The first ever neurogastronomy symposium kicks off tomorrow at UK.